It is 7.5 inches by 10 inches and has a resolution of 150. And we'll go ahead and click create. That has created us a document. Mine has a black background. I just need to make this white really quick. So I'm going to go edit, fill, and change that to white. There we go. The next thing it's going to ask you to do is get your marquee tool, which is located over in the toolbox. Let's double wide that so we can all see. We'll grab the marquee tool here, and then the directions go on to have us go to the option bar, which is that bar that goes across the top of the screen. And where it says style, we want to change that to say to be a fixed size. So we're going to type in fixed size there, and then our width and our height, we need to go ahead and change that. It is important that you type 5.7 IN for inches, and our width is going to be 8 IN. We're going to make sure that we have a new layer chosen over here, and we're going to go ahead and click on our screen in the upper left hand corner. That goes ahead and creates this rectangle marquee for us. The goal now is if we got to make sure we got layer 1 selected, because that's where our fill is going to go to. And if we look at step 2, it says to do shift backspace, so we'll go ahead and we'll click on that, and it tells us to choose 50% gray. So where it says contents, we're going to go ahead and choose that 50% gray. We'll click OK. It has gone ahead and filled that box in for us now. From there, it says we can do a Control A, right? So we're going to do Control A. That has selected the entire canvas. Now if we get the move tool up, we've gotten some transform commands that go across the top of the screen. So we've now gone over to our move tool, and it says that we want to align our vertical centers and our horizontal centers. Those are located across the top of our control bar here, and you can see how we have now moved our box, that gray box, into the middle of the screen based off of the selection that we have made. It says now to press the Control R. That brings up our rulers. We're going to bring out some vertical and horizontal guides for us, both left, right, top, bottom. Now once we've got that done, it says they should snap right to the edge. Now hold the shift key and press the arrow key, giving it a little bit of larger space at the bottom. So we're going to hold the shift, 1, 2, 3. So we've created this little bit of a space down here at the bottom of the page. That's where our marquee is going to go in the end of this entire project. So now we're on to page 2. Flip that over. It says press and hold the command key or control key on the thumbnail to load the shape in the selection. So I'm going to hold the control key. I'm going to go over to my layers panel. I'm going to click on the thumbnail. By clicking once, you can say I now have a new selection being made. It selects the object that's on that layer. So from there, what I can do is go to the select, and under menu choose inverse. So I'm going to go select, inverse, and now what I have is I've got this little white area that goes around the shape selected. So what I can do then is create a new layer. In layer 2, I am going to do a shift backspace again, and I'm going to fill that with gray, creating 2 shapes for us. What we want to do at this point is do a Control D to deselect, and we're going to go to the visibility of layer 1 and turn that off. That's the eye that's right there. We're on to step 4, and here we're going to create a third layer. So let's go ahead and create that really quick. We've got layer 3. We're going to get the elliptical marquee tool, and we are going to make ourselves a small circle in the upper left hand corner there. We're going to do a shift backspace again to fill it, but this time instead of choosing gray, we're going to come in and choose color, and we can type in what we want that color to be. It says that it should be 255, 186, and 0, and we'll click OK. Okay, and now we have our start of our light. This is where things get a little complicated, and if you don't follow directions, things will get messed up here. This is going to be our step and repeat and duplicate command. So what it says keeping the object selected, so we still have it selected. We are going to do control. We are going to press Alt Control T. So we've got that up. It's given us our transform command. And what we are going to do is then hold Shift and press the arrow key 10 times and then push Enter. So holding Shift, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. There's 10 for me, and then it says press Enter. We're not deselecting like it says. Now we're on to step 5. This is where some people go wrong. This time we're going to add Shift to the mix. So we're going to do Shift, Alt, Control T. So we are going to go ahead and do that. We got Shift, Option, oops, I messed up there. Let's do that again. There we go. You can see it'll repeat itself as we go across the screen. And when we get to that right-hand side there, we don't want to go off the artboard. So now we'll go back up to step 4. And we are going to go ahead and press those options again. We're going to do the Control-Alt-T. We're going to hold Shift and go down 10. Okay, then we push Enter, hold all. Now we're back down to step 5, where we have to do our Shift, Alt, Control T. And we'll work our way down the page. We're just holding that and pressing T every time you want to make a duplicate of it. Alright, so I made it to the bottom. Now I'm going to do my Shift, back up to step 4, do my Alt, Control T. Go to the left, and press Enter, and then go back down to step 5, duplicate them to the left again, and then do my step 4, move it up 10, press Enter, work my way all the way around until I get home. There we go. So now we've created all these light bulbs. We can go ahead and move on to the next step. First thing I want to do is deselect though, so I no longer have that piece selected. If for some reason you need to move all of those shapes that are on there, you can do that. You can get your, say you needed to, you can get your rectangle marquee. Oops. See, I can't make a selection right now because I still have fixed size on. We'll go back to normal. But if I needed to move this row, I could make a selection on them. I get my move tool up, and I could move all those if I needed to, but I don't need to, so I'm not going to play with that right now. This is where we're going to add a little bit of style to our lights here. So we're going to double click on the layers panel, and we're going to start to do some different styles to it. This is the first one that we're going to do is choose satin. So we're going to come over here and click on the words satin, and we start to choose those pieces there. It says in the blend mode, let's set this to hard light. So blend mode is located across the top there. We'll choose hard light. It's going to give a different appearance to it here in a second once we start adding some other pieces to it. We want to change our RGB color that's being used, so we click on the color swatch and we type in what the directions tell us to. And then we are going to change some of the other pieces. It says we got to change our opacity. Our distance should be at 11. Our size should be 14. And we should change our curve to represent something like this down on the bottom here, so we kind of get that like filament look that's going on the inside there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to switch over to the next page here, and we are going to add some other pieces to it. Now we're going to do bevels and emboss, so we're going to go back up and click on the words bevel and emboss and make sure that we go through and we select all of these. It says that we should uncheck use global light so it doesn't change the light source for it. And we're going to just kind of work our way through this, making sure that everything is kind of the same. Go to the outer glow. Right, so now we're going to move on to outer glow. We have to go click on that. Make sure you're always changing your blend modes to what they tell you they should be. Make sure you're setting all your numbers correctly, and that you are also using the correct colors. It says for the outer glow here that we are going to change that. It's going to be more of a yellow color now. Okay, so we've got that set. It should be soft, which we've got that on. We need to change that to a size though of 25, and everything else looks good there. So the last thing we need to go ahead and do is click on drop shadow. That's going to give it a little bit of a look to it. So let's go find drop shadow real quick. So this should be multiply. It should be at 100 for its opacity. Distance should be 10. 0 for spread, and size should be 10. Everything looks good there. Go ahead and click OK at that point. Okay, we're on to step 8. It says select the gray frame layer. So let's go ahead and go back down and click on layer 2. We are going to then click and lock the transparent pixel icon on top of the layers panel. So we have to go to the layers panel, click on the transparent pixels. So we locked those into place. Now we're going to go choose the gradient tool from the toolbar. So we're going to go click on G if you need to use a shortcut. And then once you've got that chosen, across the top of your screen here in the control panel is the gradient editor. You can go ahead and choose those. There is one that already says copper, so we'll go ahead and we'll click on copper, and we'll drag the gradient from the top left hand corner to the bottom right hand corner. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've created that kind of look they've got going on there. You can change the piece on it. You can do linear, you can do radial. That's up to you on which one of those that you choose. Step 9 here, it says the gradient looks fine, but the color isn't exactly what we want. I want more of a I like more of a copper gradient. It's already there. So what we can do is go into hue and saturation, which is pretty easy. What we're going to do there is do a Control U. Brings this up, and you can kind of start to play with those and kind of get a number that that you like. This particular piece got a little bright for me. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm going to bring this back over here. See how you can kind of slide these around and play with them. So take your time. You can make your own colors here. I'm not going to say you have to have a certain color. But make sure you do click colorize, and it does make a difference on what you actually end up with for your numbers. You can see now we're getting more of that kind of copper look to it. We'll go ahead and click OK. It says to intensify the gold a little bit, you can duplicate the layer. So I'm going to take that and drag layer 2, put it on the duplicate layer. Now I've got layer 2 copy, and we can change the blend mode of it, which is going to be in the layers panel here. We can change that to soft light, and it kind of changes the appearance a little bit on how it reacts with one another. Remember, blend modes is how the two layers interact with each other. So in step 10, let's go ahead and make that nameplate. So the nameplate goes on the bottom. First thing we need to do is grab our rectangular marquee tool, and we need to remove some of those circles from the bottom down there. So the goal here is that we leave 3 circles on each side. So once I've got those drawn, I'm going to go to layer 3 because that's where my circles are located, and I'm going to press the delete key. That's going to delete the 3 circles, or the center circles there, from that selection. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and create a new layer, layer 4. Let's go ahead and create layer 4. We've got that made. Now we're going to go ahead and fill that selection. So there's a couple ways we can fill, right? You can go edit fill, or we can go shift backspace. I'm going to do shift backspace really quick. Go to color. And it says to use 158 by 11 by 15. Go ahead and click OK. We've gone ahead and we have created a red box that we now have sitting on top of there. Well, let's go to layer styles. So we're going to go to layer 4. We're going to double click on it, go to layer styles, and we're going to choose gradient overlay. There's our gradient overlay. And once we've chosen that, we can change the blend mode to overlay. Oops, I wasn't on the right tool there. Let's undo that. Let's go back to normal. Click on the words gradient overlay, and then change that to overlay. It'll react much different to your shape now. From there, what we can do is go to the stroke panel if we would like. Add a stroke to this so it kind of stands off a little bit. Oh, that's too much. I got some texture there. We should decrease the size of that stroke. It's a little too much. Change it down to 5. The outside, and blend mode, let's do vivid light. If I can find it. There we go. And then we're going to do a fill. We're going to do a pattern, and we can just choose this one in the lower right there. It's going to kind of give a textured look to it, so it's kind of broken up a little bit. We'll do a scale of 400. And we're going to click OK. Now we can type in the words coming soon, so we can go ahead and get our text tool up. We want to make sure that we've got Arial. And we're going to use Arial Black if we've got it on our computer. We're going to type in size 24. And we are going to type coming soon. All right, gotta move that into place. It's not white though, so we gotta go back, and if we get our text tool selected, we can click on the text, and we can change the color of our font up here on the control bar with it being selected. And now we've got the words coming soon there. I don't really like how low that box is sitting. I'm going to move it up just a little bit. Change my text. Get that. I just got my move tool selected, and I'm selecting on the layer to move it around. So now what we need to do is add our poster into it. So what we're going to do, you can go out and choose whatever poster you want. Let's see what I can find here on the internet. Let's see what we can find for Elf since it's Christmas time. Images. When we've got our image, we want to make sure we are getting the a nice large image. So go to your search tools, and we want to change that so we've got a large image being chosen. You probably want to make sure that you look for a portrait as well. You don't want to try to put a landscape photo into this particular document. So I'm just going to take this one that's right here, make sure I get the big image of it as long as I can. There we go. Copy it. I'm going to come over here and make a new layer, and I'm going to paste it. But I got to put this layer below my frames. So I got to bring them all the way down here to the bottom. Right there. Now you can see how it's kind of cropping it. I can do a Control T. That's going to allow me to resize that layer if I need to. Right, there we go. Maybe not the best photo, but we kind of get the idea of how this is going to work. You can see I crop his head down there a little bit, kind of put him in the middle, and then we push enter. So that kind of brings us to the end. To print this, what you'd want to do is obviously we're going to save this, save it as movie poster, and we're going to put it on to our portfolio as well. So you'll need to save this as a JPEG document and print this using our normal print settings. Just do a scale to fit and make sure your name is on it and turn it in to me.